If you are new to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
The importance of birds in the garden. There is a number of benefits to why you would want to have birds come in your garden. Many people believe that you don't want to have birds in your garden because they're going to destroy the plants. They're going to eat the foliage, all of that kind of thing, and that's simply not the case.
No, birds are definitely very beneficial to your garden. One is that we talk about this, is that they will eat bad bugs. So they will eat those bad bugs, and there's many different articles online about this, about what bugs they eat. One is, for us, the tomato hornworm. We've heard of them eating different squash bugs or potato bugs. So definitely, that's a good reason to invite them in.
Yeah, they're going to eat they're not going to eat good bugs. Nature has designed this food chain to where they will eat the bad bugs.
But the robins will eat your worms.
Well, yeah,
right,
but you want,
for the most part, the birds will eat the bad bugs.
And if they get a few worms, that's quite all right. They're going to have a lot of benefit in the garden. So, bug control. You don't have to use insecticides or pesticides or organic means. A lot of times, and we have found this, like you said, with the tomato hornworm, that eliminates, it reduces the problem by like 95% of the problems that you're going to face in your garden.
Now, so now some of them do eat weed seeds, so that'll help if they're eating those seeds.
If you let the plant,
if your plants get to that point, and we're not perfect,
and like we talked about it, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. That maybe was in a garden talk. We leave some weeds strategically in the garden. We don't have it a pure weed-free garden because some of these weeds attract the bad bugs, like aphids. They will attract themselves to the weeds and not the vegetables in which we're trying to grow. And we have photographs of black aphids loaded on thistles, and the plants next to it that we are actually trying to grow for food, not even touched.
Right. So definitely if you see that you have some weeds that are a little overgrown, you see birds eating on them or aphids eating on them, just let them be, because you're feeding that wildlife and they're not bothering your plants. And if they're birds eating on them, then hopefully they're eating the bugs too.
Now people will say, I don't want birds in my garden because they're pecking holes in my tomatoes right before they get ripe or as they're ripe. So now I got tomatoes, a bunch of holes in them.
We're going to cover that in just a second.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the more benefits. Another one is flower pollination. A lot of these birds, most commonly is known as hummingbirds, but a lot of them help induce flower pollination. They also, because they're if they're landing on the plant, shaking up the plants, they're giving that plant some life, which is making it
agitating the flower, which some of these flowers, like tomatoes, have the male and female reproductive organs in the same flower. So by disturbing it when the birds, insects, bugs crawling on it agitates or vibrates that and drops the pollen into the correct location for the fruit to develop.
Right. So that's definitely a good benefit. Now here's some benefits, not just for your garden, but for you. One is that you interact with wildlife. If you have kids, maybe yourself, you can watch the birds.
Yeah, let's define that. Not go out and have them land on your arm like a scarecrow,
or like Mary Poppins or something.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you don't know. Somebody could train a bird in their backyard. Don't tell people what to do in their free time. So, so you interact with the wildlife. Maybe if you want to learn their migratory patterns or do some research, you could have a whole new hobby stem of the birds in your backyard. Well,
and we talk about, that's one way. Now, how do we bring these birds in? Let's talk about how do we get them into our garden?
I just want to notate real quick that it is also stress relief to watch the birds.
That is scientifically
proven that if you sit in your backyard, you hear the songbirds, watch the birds do their thing, it's a nice relaxing portion of your day and for you, and it's scientifically proven that does help relieve stress.
Okay. Well, how do we get these birds in our garden then?
Well, you have to invite them in. You have to give them a reason to come to your garden.
An evite? Is that how we?
No.
No.
They don't have email. They have airmail.
Okay.
Yeah. So you think that was funny?
No.
Okay, fine. So you want to provide habitat. Birds obviously like to grow. They like to live in trees or enclosed areas, maybe a birdhouse. Maybe you could look up some plants that are good for birds, things like that. But otherwise, definitely food. So not all birds eat seed. We learned this recently. There was this thing going around on social media about how the robins need to be fed because
during that snowstorm.
Because our delayed spring. And robins don't eat seed; they eat worms and they eat fruits and berries.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily just seed; it's also other things.
And incorporating, like we talked about, the tomatoes being poked holes in. They're looking for moisture. If that is occurring in your garden, they're wanting something to drink. So you can incorporate a bird bath, or simply just make it a very simple little tub or bucket with water. They will find this. I mean, they have ponds that these birds go to, so it's not like a special little, they walk up to the edge of the pond or lake and drink, and then they fly away. Some of them actually land in the water and that type of thing. So it doesn't have to be elaborate, simple, functional. That's all it needs to be.
Right, yeah. You could just, make a little bird bath or something. They do want that water as well.
Now, when we feed the birds, you want to put that bird feeder or bird feeders in the center of your garden. So they physically have to fly into the center to feed off those seeds, and then their eyesight will pick up the bad bugs. Now, bird feeder, you can have that mounted on a pole. You can simply do a stake with a tuna can nailed to the top of it and put bird seed in that. You want to poke some holes in the bottom of that tuna can so moisture can drain out of it during rain. But we do that. We got like 4 or 5 of them now, plus a bird feeder in the center of the garden, so they physically fly into the center, not the edge or the perimeter. So they can, and then birds are very smart animals. They find food, they'll tell their friends, hey, there's something over here, come over here, and they'll migrate over there. So it's not just, that they learn how to adapt and help each other survive.
Right, so just like us, they need a place to stay, they need food, they need water, definitely are all good things to keep the birds in the garden.
Well, what kind of birds can we expect if we do these things? And maybe you already have birds in your garden already, and you want to keep them there. These are other ways in order to do that. What are some birds that we can be familiar with seeing visit our garden?
So in Wisconsin, you're definitely going to see robins, and then you'll see anything from cardinals to sparrows, chickadees, something called a blue creeper or brown creeper, a warbler, wrens, blue jays, songbirds. All sorts of little birds. Now, and that's where that hobby could come in. You could try to figure out what kind of birds are coming to your garden. Maybe if you want to attract different birds, what would attract them?
Right, and specific seed or food attracts specific birds of that type of caliber into doing that. Because, some people who are bird watchers, they have a book in which they check off, okay, I've seen this bird, I've seen this bird. So it's like coin collecting for them. They identify and they mark off the date and location in which they see that bird. But again, people indicate, I don't want birds in my garden. Well, that birds are part of nature. Birds are very beneficial to that.
It's just like your garden. Not many people think about this, or some people do think about this. Your garden is an ecosystem. It's a little community within itself, and birds are part of that ecosystem. And you want them to strive and live within your little happy backyard garden.
Absolutely. Thank you for checking out the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show. For more, go to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com for full-length in-studio video and podcast replay of Season 1. Season 2 underway and added weekly. Tweet us at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG to be part of the program.